Welcome to Living Martial Arts with Master Ray Gale, aka the Dark Master. Living Martial Arts discuss and examines the everyday exercise, philosophy, and lifestyle of the martial arts enthusiast. The host talks about his own training, past and present, and he also interviews many martial artists to discover how they continue to live their own martial arts journey. Tune in for top tips on how to get the best out of your martial art. Or perhaps you're thinking of starting a martial art. This podcast offers you an easy way to dip your toe in. Sign up for the newsletter at livingmartialarts.com and get regular updates and training tips direct to your inbox. Follow the Dark Master on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Living Martial Arts.
Computer. Okay, hi, Living Martial Arts fans. Welcome to the podcast. This is me, the Dark Master. I've got an awesome guest for you today, somebody that I've been trying to get hold of for a long time. And the reason that I say is an awesome guest, because first of all, he is a lovely person. That's not just me talking. That's many people that have trained with him, and that have also I know as well that always speak about him in a lovely way. He's a great role model for martial arts and martial arts instructors. Well, that's very true. And when you were training in my dojo, one thing I always admired about you, you had a really calm attitude, much calmer than me. But I'd like to introduce Mr. Pat Reeves to my podcast. How are you doing, Pat?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Excellent. Well, Pat is a Bjj instructor. And I know that he's done many things. He's done a few different martial arts. But Pat, perhaps, well, first of all, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy. We've just moved our dojo up into Swindon. We were in a sports centre prior to COVID, and we've just moved to a new place in the middle of Swindon, above Iceland, and loving it. Absolutely loving it. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, that's been a dream of mine that I have managed to fulfill. Well, I did fulfill it for a short period many years ago. So I wish you all the best with it. And as I mentioned, I know you've done a couple of martial arts at least, because you did one with me, and I know you're doing BJJ now. So just tell us a little bit about your martial arts journey, please.
Wow. How far back do you want to go?
Well, as I always say on this podcast, this can take 5 days for all of us that have been in martial arts a long time.
I'll try and cut it down a little bit.
Well, it's a brief overview, and just to give the listeners a bit of an overview of where you've been, and
Okay, so I started martial arts when I was a kid. Started with boxing. Some people don't consider it a martial art, but I do. Yeah. So I started with martial arts with boxing, and didn't actually get into the punching and kicking side until my old man was military. So we went over to Hong Kong, and that's where I fell for the love of martial arts. We used to get up for school in the morning and go past this huge park and see people waving their arms around really slowly. And I was a bit mesmerized by that. And then I was taken to the cinema by some Chinese kids who used to go to school with us. And one of the things we watched was King Monkey.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so that was the first time I saw it. And it was a case of my parents getting me into something, so I stopped beating on my little sister Maggie. So it was like I came home and I wanted to practice what I saw. So that's pretty much where it started. Yeah. And then we came back over here, and it was traveling around practicing different martial arts like karate, Lao Gar.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you remember the Lao Gar snakes?
Yes, I do. I remember it well. In fact,
you competed against them, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. Lao Gar, and also the Lao Gar Death Squad from Bristol.
That's right. Death Squad. Oh my God.
Yeah. I'm still in touch with some of them. So
really?
Yeah. It's brilliant.
So I did that. I did Shotokan for a long time at the Budo Club in Devizes, which is now closed down. Okay. I went and seen it a while back. I was a bit gutted to see it. It's almost, it was grass growing up through the floor and looked like a run-down shack. Do you know what I mean? But the sign was still there, the Devizes Budo Club. So it was nice to see, but a bit sad that it had closed down. So I did quite a bit there. We did Aikido there, Judo, and Shotokan karate. So I spent a lot of time there. Before, when I was about 19, I moved to, well, I still stayed, but I moved away from the Japanese style and was told about Don Deedigan down in Chippenham.
Yes.
So I went down there, and that's where I started my Taekwondo.
Right.
About 18, 19 years old. Yeah. Yeah. So from there, we went, it was WTF at the time. Then we changed over. First time I met you was when you came over on our change over to TAGB when you were we moved over to you, and then I moved over to Swindon and then came to you there as well. But in amongst that, I practiced Muay Thai, I practiced kickboxing, do you know what I mean? So I've been all over the place and practiced a lot of different styles, trained with a lot of good martial artists. So I'm quite lucky, really. But I suppose it's the anorak in me. You want to keep going, you want to keep progressing, right? So
that's very true.
Yeah. And it was, I'd say, something was always, I practiced judo, but not to a really high level. But I'd always loved the groundwork, the throwing side of it, that full contact sort of thing. And I was told by a friend, Ollie, I don't know if you know Ollie.
Yes, I've interviewed him on the podcast.
I was introduced to him by Dave many, many moons ago, and Mr. Pixton. And and he kept on at me, you got to try Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, you got to try Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I didn't want to do grappling at the time. And it was like, you know what, I don't really want to do this. So one day I was training at my garage. So our doors open, we were hitting the bag and doing a little bit there. And he came out, and out of the back of his car, he pulled out these raggedy old mats.
All right.
Just, come on, let's try something. I was like, okay, then let's try this. And fell in love with it right there and then. Yeah. It was that inability to, I didn't have any response to what he did to me. That was what got me. Yeah. And I think my ego took control there, and it was like, no, I've got to try this. Yeah. So that's where it began for me in jiu-jitsu, really. But I've been a martial artist since I was a kid. You know what I mean? There's not really anything else. I've done other jobs like we all do. I've worked in factories doing forklifts. I'm a qualified plumber. I've done lorry driving. I've done loads. I've done it all, same as most people out there. But always in the background, there's always been the love of martial arts and wanting to do it full time. Yeah.
So, brilliant. Well, I still think it's the best job in the world. I say to people, I was very, very well paid in the late 70s and early 80s as a development aircraft engineer, and people even now think, I can't believe you gave that up, because I was. But I said, no, the thrill of martial arts and teaching it and doing it is...
It's definitely not about the money, that's for sure.
Yeah. Oh, no, definitely not. It's a real magnet. Well, it's interesting because I had the opposite, you see, because, I've done a few different things. I've done a bit of Tai Chi, and I did some Thai boxing years ago up in Manchester with Master Sken. And a few people like that. And I enjoyed that, and I enjoyed the kicking and punching. And I remember trying, albeit this was traditional jiu-jitsu, it was Japanese traditional jiu-jitsu. And I did some many moons ago in the Southwest. And I didn't like it. I thought, didn't really like it. But my personality is such that, and I don't do it so much now, but I loved... just saying that, I did karate as well. I did karate before I did taekwondo in about 75, and I did like that. But for me, it was something I thought, I'm not quite sure if I want to continue doing this. But when I saw taekwondo and I saw the dynamic style, I thought, that's
your movement.
It did, and that's what I loved about it, and that's what I love about it today is just the dynamic side of it. Even though I'm not as dynamic as I was, I still enjoy that side of it. Yeah, and I did have I did contact you a while ago and say, I'd love to perhaps come along to your class and try. But what happened was, again, it was a little bit of an ego thing. I thought to myself, if I go and I like it, I'm going to want to be really good at it. Because that's my personality. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to let it go. And anything I do, I think I'm either going to do it full potential, or I'm not going to do it. Right. And that's the way I've always looked at things. It's
super addictive as well.
Yeah, it is. And I think if you've got that bug, I'm sure I would have enjoyed it. And if you've got that bug for martial arts, I think that, particularly with a group and maybe people that I already know, I thought to myself, I'm going to want to do this, and I haven't really got the extra time. But you never know. My younger kids are growing up, and I may have a little bit more time in the future.
You're always welcome. You're always welcome.
Who knows? Well, I want to sort of move on from it. I mean, thanks for the overview there. And obviously, you're a Bjj instructor. Now, Bjj has become really, really popular. And obviously, I remember the early days of UFC with Hoist Gracie and the Gracie, crew, and the fantastic just enlightenment, really, of groundwork, which was at the time actually, no pun intended, groundbreaking. It was amazing, and I still watch some of those videos now. And it's funny, really, because I actually liked the early days of the sort of UFC movement with the Gracie brothers in, because I actually thought it was quite traditional. You had BJJ, you had Taekwondo, you had karate, and they came in and introduced themselves. You saw this person does Taekwondo, this person's style is karate, this is BJJ, whatever. And I actually like the philosophy of it, but I actually don't watch it anymore, and I don't watch UFC or MMA because I don't like the sort of
the amalgamation of the arts.
Yeah, and the trash talking that you get with it, which you never used to get before. It was very, very. You had that martial arts side was still there. They bowed, and they did all that. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
No, I agree. That's because you're a traditional martial artist. I don't think the people who enter in the MMA and the UFC, especially today, are strictly martial artists. I think they're sportsmen, they're fighters. A bit like boxing. They're trained. You train up for however many weeks. You go into a camp and you have these guys there. You have martial artists come in. You have specialists come in to teach you their art or to tweak your technique a little bit. I don't think the actual people who are going into the ring are actually martial artists. Not all of them. Some of them are, some of them aren't, but not martial artists in the traditional sense. And the mixed martial art, I kind of don't like that terminology for them either. Because
exactly.
The actual sport, kind of, yes, but no, it's a sport. Do you know what I mean? It's not what you would consider a mixed martial artist in the old sense of the term. I like it. I enjoy watching certain fights, but I can do with all the everything else that goes along with it as well. The Conor McGregors of this world shouting and screaming beforehand. Although Ali did it and we enjoyed it, they just seem to take it like 2 or 3 steps over the line for me.
Yeah, well, it's funny you should say that, because when it first appeared, and you had that, the concept of mixed martial arts. I actually liked it, and I liked the fact that actually it was very different. It wasn't. They didn't take on the thing of the boxing where they were trash talking each other. And I may have said this on a previous podcast. I don't know, but many moons ago when I was still competing, and this is going back in the 80s, I was doing really well and at Taekwondo in my category as a lightweight. And I actually got asked to come to do a pilot program, which was going to be aired on a Saturday instead of the wrestling, because they were getting rid of the wrestling that was on. And they asked myself and a few others and some people who were in different kickboxers and Thai boxers. And we went on it was on a Saturday, and they gave us all this high-tech equipment and so on. And we just had to fight in a ring situation. And I really enjoyed it. It was great. But after that, they interviewed us. And they said, what do you think about your opponent? And I said, he's a lovely person. I admire him as a martial artist. I think that. They said, no. And they said, no, cut. No, we want a bit more than that. You've got to tell us what you're going to do to him. And, the fact you don't like him. And, well, I do like him. and they wanted all of us to just trash talk each other. Yeah. And none of us would. So it didn't get aired.
That's the reason it didn't air.
It didn't get aired, and I think the reason is because we were all very polite. Yeah. And I was saying, I really, my opponent that I had at that time, it was somebody that I sort of saw as a colourblind. I thought, wow, what a martial artist. And then all of a sudden, I was seen to be at his level. And I just said, I respect everything. I saw him, when I was a young lad, and I've modelled myself on him, and it's just a pleasure to be in the ring with but that's not what they wanted. So it never got aired, and I think it was because of that. And it's such a shame that we can't show that side of the martial arts, and it has to be a sport with trash talking. I don't like it. So
no, I agree.
There we go. Oh, excellent. Now that's brilliant. I mean, you've already mentioned about your full-time centre. So I just wanted to ask you a little bit about that. I'm assuming that you teach all ages, all through the age range. What sort of age do you generally start?
Well, normally about 5 years old, because we can find they can walk, talk, and take instruction at that point. So
yeah.
But so we start off with what we call GBK, so it's Gracie Barra Kids.
Okay.
So we teach those. Then we normally do that sort of like straight after school, so they're coming straight home, straight into the centre, and they train. We've got quite a few. It's building up. Obviously, it's a new centre, so a new academy. Yeah. So we're building up that class. It's coming on quite well. Then we go into the teens class. So this is the first time since I've been teaching that I've actually had a teens class, which I'm quite pleased with.
Oh, wow.
They're all starting to get the competition vibe. They're starting to look at competition rules. So I'm quite pleased about that. Like I said, it's the first time that I've had a group of teenagers that want to compete and want to go out as a team as well. So we've got that nice team vibe for the kids. And we've got the Gracie Barra fundamentals class, and then the seniors class after that as well. So we've got a decent amount of colours. We're at the moment we're a bit colour heavy because the students from the old club have come across as well. So I mean our old team, well, it's still our team, but they're old ones. They pretty much know what they're doing and everything. And we've got a lot of hold on, looks like I'm getting dessert. Sorry.
Okay, that's all right. Don't worry.
Hold on, let me just check.
Okay, no worries. That's fine.
Okay, so we've got the teenagers class, and then we've got the adults class in the evening.
Sure.
So it's going pretty well.
Good. Well, I mean, for me, I'm sort of I recently got to a milestone in age. One of those slightly higher numbers, it feels. But anyway, what I was going to ask was, the top end of the range, because, for example, with what I call our striking martial art. I mean, I graded a group of ladies a couple of weeks ago, and one of them was born in 1936. She was in her middle 80s.
Wow.
They're all 70s and 80s. The youngest is in her late 60s. And obviously they're sort of doing movements that are keeping them strong, trying to improve their balance, and just generally for longevity, really, for the physical exercise. So I'm just wondering whether you see BJJ having that type of a dimension or not.
Yeah, we do. We've got older students in the classes. I think I'm the oldest one in our class, actually. But throughout the Gracie Barras, there are older students in there. We, especially with the classes, you train with the person. So, like, if you've got someone like a athlete who's training for a competition, he will just take it down to whoever he's training with. So basically, I could get on the mat and I can train with a 5-year-old. I can roll with a 5-year-old. It doesn't take much. It's just a little bit of common sense. Plus, with the striking, we've got a get out clause when we touch hands. So we'll touch hands, and we've got say like a 5-minute round up to a 10-minute round, and we'll just practice rolling. We're giving, and we're taking. So someone will go for a technique on me. I'll allow it so far, and then it will progress. I'll attack him, he'll attack me. If I get caught in a submission, I'll tap. Exactly the same as in UFC. I'll tap up, and the game stops. And then we reset, and we start again. We touch hands, and we start again. Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. The age part of it really doesn't come into it. You just take it down a few notches with whoever. But same as with Taekwondo, same as with most martial arts. It's good for health, good for flexibility. It's just a good all-around fitness practice, So
sure. No, that's great. Well, sort of touching on that a little bit further. I mean, I said, I tend to say to people now, I'm doing my martial arts for longevity. I still enjoy the physical side of training. I try and train most days, doing my physical stuff. I do quite a bit at home. I've got a little home gym that I have in my conservatory, which is quite nice, with my kettlebells and my stationary bike and weighted vests and all sorts of things. I
used to hate the weighted vest.
Yeah. So I tend to do a lot of stuff with that, really. And I would say for me as a youngster, martial arts gave me a real focus. I loved it. Going through my 20s and start my 30s, then the competition side sort of took me. I never did it because of competition. I just enjoyed and found out I was quite good at it. And then really from 40, 45 onwards, I've seen it really as a more of a holistic approach for me. And so I'm just really asking what you see the main benefits are for you. I mean, obviously it's your living and it's my living. So there's that benefit. But what you see the main benefits for you, for other people, which I'm sure they're probably quite parallel anyway.
Yeah, they are. Health, longevity, like you've said, just ability, and it's a sense of community as well. Yes. It's one of the things that I think's missing from the MMA side of things as well. When you come in, we all dress the same. We all wear our dobots, our bees. We all look the same. We all train the same. It's that sense of community or team that we get from that you wouldn't get in something else.
Sure.
Do you know what I mean? With the martial arts in general, I think you get a lot, like I met you, I met Dave. Do you know what I mean? We're still lifelong friends.
Sure.
I don't know of any other sport really, or martial art. Well, not to say martial art, but any other area. I wouldn't know because I don't practice those things. I don't know anything about football. I don't know anything about anything. But what I do know is that I've seen some of my friends who don't practice martial arts. They once they're out of that, they're out of it for good, and they don't really stay in communication. Whereas, like I came away from Taekwondo and started practicing Jiu-Jitsu, but I'm still in communication with. It's a huge community. Do you know what I mean? It's not just the Taekwondo side of it. It's not just the Jiu-Jitsu or the Kung Fu side of it. I'm still friends with a lot of the people in that whole genre, and so it's nice.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that. I am too. As I mentioned, we were sort of talking off podcast about some of the people, some of the Laugar people that I'm still in touch with. Some of the karate people that trained with years ago, and still keep in touch. And I think, as you say, that community spirit within martial arts is fantastic. I think a lot of people find it quite surprising when they join a martial art that it's not just about the art. There are other things involved as well, and just like any other activity, you can build that community and build that sort of that social contact with people. One thing I've realized with doing martial arts for so long, I've got I could probably name, I reckon 10 to 15 people that have got married through Taekwondo and weddings that I've been to,
especially in Taekwondo.
Weddings that I've been to, and youngsters. You mentioned Dave Pixton there, who started with me when he was 7, and now he's got a young family of his own. And for me, it's brilliant. I love it. I love the fact I'm still in contact. And we were talking the other day, albeit on email. But we're thinking about meeting up and just having a coffee,
awesome.
and it's great, But that side of it, I think, is fantastic, and you have friends, certainly friends for life.
Definitely. It's a lifelong activity, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So what with BJJ, and I've done a number of different things. I haven't done a great deal of jiu-jitsu or any BJJ really, but is there any sort of meditation practices, or I would imagine that breath work is quite, or breathing, particularly in BJJ, is quite essential.
I think that's more of a personal thing for people. Obviously, there are areas where Obviously, we teach them with breathing out, with the punching and the kicking, and
sure.
But there are certain movements where you do want to be making sure that you're breathing out in the right places and stuff like that. But where we're not taking blows, where we're not accepting blows, it's a little bit different. It's more of a tension exhale and stuff like that. But as far as meditation and like breath control as a separate practice, I think that's what people would practice at home rather than practicing on the mat. Yeah, it's not something that we actually concentrate on the mat. Sure.
Yeah, it's again fascinating for me, and maybe it's because of I hate to say my time of life, because I still see myself as a youngster, but I got into meditation, I've got into breath work, not in the class, but I'm trying to encourage people to do it as much as possible now, and I found it very, very beneficial. Just as a life practice. Anyway, I've been doing the Wim Hof. Wim Hof breathing, and I also only have cold showers. I never have hot baths or hot showers. Yeah, only cold showers now.
I'm a sauna man. I don't even have ice in my drink.
Oh right, okay. Yeah, no, I do like a good sauna when I can get one, but it's tough to get there. But no, I love my cold showers. And I just look forward to it. I really look forward to it, and it's. I'm sure
absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I've just managed to get one of my students got me one of these old whiskey barrels,
right?
And I'm going to fill that and actually use it outside. So in the winter, get in there for 5 minutes in the morning. I can't think of anything I'd like to looking forward to that. Well, the other thing that I do. And I've been like this for a long time. As I don't know. Some people would say I'm obsessive about what I eat. I'm not really. I just try and eat well. I try and drink well. I'm not a big. I don't consume alcohol very often, apart from some celebrations, maybe at Christmas time or whatever. So my question really is is how you see that side of it. Your and how does that sort of evolve with your martial arts? Really, your
Right. I will drink, but same as you, it's normally celebration times and things like that. I'm not a huge fan of getting drunk, but I suppose that's from working on the doors for many years, so that I'm kind of jaded towards drinking anyway. But food-wise, I eat clean, so most of the time. Don't get me wrong, if I see a bag of donuts, I'm going to dig in, but I will punish myself for it.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that, because I've been listening to a book, and it was talking about modern food and the fact that we have all these scientists who are in laboratories making food attractive, so it captures that dopamine fix. When you have a bite of it, you want another bite, and so on. So the best thing is not to have it in the first place. But I know what you mean. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like everything. Our bodies crave sweet. So whether it be a chocolate bar, although I do try and eat quite rich chocolate, sort of anything over 70%.
Oh, really?
I tend to even 90%, but I try not to eat what I would call sugar chocolate very often. I wouldn't say never, because I have children and they tempt me. So go from there. But the other thing that I find fascinating, and for me, I love my martial arts, but there's a few other things I do. I love to play harmonica. I love guitar. I love to juggle. I love to get out on my roller skates, actually, when the sun is fine, and also love to get on my motorbike. So my question is what you do when you're not doing martial arts. Do you have a hobby that you do or anything like that?
Right, I'm a really bad chess player. I'm a mediocre guitarist.
All right.
I walk my dogs. Mostly I go home, walk the dogs. If I'm not watching jiu-jitsu, reading jiu-jitsu. I'm learning Portuguese as well.
Oh right,
That's obviously, so I'm rubbish at that as well. most of my attention is towards jiu-jitsu and sort of like trying to make my classes as interesting as possible. But in general, it's mostly about the martial arts, watching martial arts, enjoying martial arts films. I'm a bit of an anorak, pretty much the same as you, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do have a bike that's over the past 2 years has probably been out of my shed 3 times.
All right.
I've cleaned it. I've oiled it, looked at it. It's been a nice bit of garden up for a while, and I put it back in the shed. I might have rode it once or twice, but only round in a circle or 2. Then it's gone back up into the shed. I do like hill sprints. So there's a little hill around the corner. I do that every now and then.
Yeah.
And then suffer when I get home. The dog sits at the top of the hill and watches me like, what are you doing?
No, I must admit, I do love sprinting. I used to be quite a runner when I was competing. I used to do some miles, but I don't do that anymore. I sprint a few times a week or a couple of times a week, depending on how I feel. That usually is about enough running for me. A little bit of stationary cycling. But when I moved last year, I got rid of my road bike, which I wasn't really using, to be quite honest, and another bike as well. I had 4, but I got rid of that. And to be honest, now stationary cycling. I do my sprinting. I love to skip as well, which is quite nice. So I still do that, and I just try and mix it up a little bit, really. Just to
I kind of like the CrossFit trainer.
Okay.
I like that. I like the assault bike. So I've got a gym membership as well. So I go down and lift some weights every now and then. But that's one of the only reasons is it's got one of these rope pull down machines.
Okay.
Which kind of helps with the jiu-jitsu as well, especially with the stand-up side of it. So you blast that for try and get to 30 seconds, have a quick rest, and then on it again, and try and exhaust myself on that before I go and lift weights. Then once I finish that, I go back to the rope and then get down to the sauna as quickly as possible. Right. It's mostly about the sauna, really. Yeah.
Well, perhaps I'll have to find out where you go, because I've been looking for a sauna around here and I can't find one anywhere. So I'll have to check that out. What about training partners now? With Taekwondo, many moons ago, again, when I was competing, myself and you'll know Master Osborne, the other master in Puma. We used to train together a lot. And it was always quite good. We used to spar with each other. So he got used to sparring with somebody who was very quick, and I got used to sparring with someone who was very tall with very long legs and a good reach.
Longest kicking span.
So
was it 12-foot kicking span?
Exactly. Yeah. We benefited. We benefited a lot from each other being so different. So I was just asking whether you you have a regular training partner, or is it just a case of training with the people in your school?
So I train a lot with the people in my school. We've got all shapes and all sizes here. So we've got a couple of really short ones. We've got a couple of really tall ones. We've got all sorts. Regular training partners. I don't know if you remember Colin Newnham. He's been a regular training partner for many moons now. He changed over to jiu-jitsu. Well, he started about 6 weeks after me. And he's been going up through the gates. He's still training now. He's had a few injuries along the way with different things, because he was a long-distance runner for a while.
Right, okay.
So he had a bit of time out, and he's recently come back and he started training again. I've got regular training partners. Do you know what I mean? So I train early in the morning. So we've got the guys that come train early in the mornings, and that's my favourite time to train, really. I get my training in then as well. So. Then for the rest of the day, mostly I'm teaching rather than actually training for myself. So
sure. Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, I've always considered myself, whether it's lucky or I don't know why, but even from a young child, I'm talking about a 9 or 10-year-old, I was very self-motivated. My first love was football, and I would always be up early doing keepy ups in the back garden, practicing my skills and kicking a ball against the wall, and without even have to bother anybody telling me. And also when I was a bit older, I was part of a team, quite a successful team actually, playing at quite a high level. Training was not a problem for me. I always motivated myself to train nobody else was interested, I'd just do it on my own. And that's the way, and that's carried me through really in Taekwondo. And I've also spotted that in people as well as they've come through the grades. You see that in individuals.
Yeah.
They come in the class, they start practicing for that, before the class starts. So I mean, I don't know whether that within jiu-jitsu, that's how it works. You come in and there's a class time, but people come in early.
Yeah, they do. They come in, they warm up, and then they start training. They have solo drills they can be getting on with. Some of them drag the bag out and start drilling on the bag like it's a human. So, quite a few people. I think the people who are attracted to the martial arts in general, a lot of them are self-motivated. I mean, it isn't an easy road to take, really, being a martial artist. So I think when you find that young one that does that comes in early, wants to train, he's there for every class, and then he starts warming up early, and he's grabbing the first person that comes in so that he can practice with. That's kind of what fuels me as well. So I've never found any problem getting up in the morning and going out whilst I'm walking the dog's off doing his thing. I'm either practicing myself or I'm running around trying to get some extra cardio in, because I feel like if I'm out doing it, I might be doing a little bit more than my opponent, So definitely. Well, we're sort of coming towards the end of the podcast. One thing that's a number of things really that I try and instill in my students when they're doing martial arts. Is to, first of all, enjoy the journey. It is not to put too much pressure on themselves. Enjoy it. Listen, learn, enjoy. I agree.
And, think of... I try and say to people, don't concentrate on the grades. Concentrate on your love for the training, and the grades are going to come.
That's
so
right.
I try and get that. So I don't know if there's a personal philosophy that you have, or something that you feel is important to instill in your students as they go through.
I think it's pretty much the same, really. You do concentrate on the journey and not the actual grades, but it's hard, especially in this day and age. When I was young, and when you were young, it was not that you're not young,
still young. Yes, we're still young. You weren't looking for that next belt. No. It was 100% about the training, and those things they weren't on your mind, And I think with jiu-jitsu especially, you get given the grade when you deserve the grade. Yes.
So people see other people getting graded. So there's not. Sometimes we have like a seminar where lots of people will get graded at the same time. But in general, if somebody is worth a new grade, they will get the new grade there and then in the middle of the class, halfway through a roll, whenever. It doesn't need to be an event to have a new belt, So
sure.
That's one of the things I like about jiu-jitsu. And I think where the kids see that as well is like somebody got a new stripe. So we'll have on one belt, where there's a little block on the end of our belt, and they'll have 4 stripes. When they've got their 4 stripes, then they'll move up to a new belt.
Yeah.
So in seeing that, I think in seeing that person get a stripe on their belt, it motivates them a little bit to train. But I think in general, the concentration isn't on the next grade. It is, we try and keep it as fun as possible for them, really.
Yeah. Well, I think it's hard in this day and age because dare I say it, and I suppose I get some criticism for this, but there are a lot of martial arts that have been unfortunately watered down, and
very much so.
It's a shame because I have some of my students that go off and say, "Oh, sir, this student started at the same time as me, and they're a black belt. I'm still a blue belt. Why is that?" And it's sometimes difficult it's difficult to be honest with that. Sometimes you have to say, "Well, don't worry about it and just carry on." But
that's when I'm not polite.
Yeah, exactly.
At all.
Exactly. Well, I'm probably of the same opinion as you there, and I think if you have learnt in a system, certainly where I have, where I remember a great story, and it was the late great Master John Black, who said that he actually started Taekwondo in Hong Kong, and he said he made the mistake up once when he graded in Hong Kong of saying, "Oh, did I pass the grading?" And he said that what happened was the instructor lined the class up and gave everybody their belts apart from him. And he had to wait 3 months, keep coming back. And eventually the instructor gave him a belt. And it was very much like that when we were sort of coming up for the grades. You didn't find out the day of the lesson. You didn't find out the week. And sometimes it was 4 weeks, maybe 4 to 6 weeks before you found out your result. And I think that was done purposely to get you to say, well, it doesn't matter. You've got to concentrate on the training.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that old school mentality. Well,
listen, I think it's the traditional side of it, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt. And also, I think it's difficult. I think it's more a taekwondo and a striking thing that we have so many belts. And I say to people that they don't matter. And people say to me, well, it's okay for you because you're on this belt. I said, well, yeah, I get that. But I also say to people, I was asked to take my last 2 gradings and I declined because I didn't want them. It wasn't about the belts for me. It was all about the training. And it always has been, and it always will be. But listen, I want to say thanks very much. Actually, I want to say 2 things. I want to say thank you very much for doing this. So pleased to have you on the podcast. As I said, and I genuinely mean it. I appreciate it. I see you as a lovely person and a real role model for martial arts. The second thing is we'd love to have you back on again at some point, and I definitely will come and have a visit. At your training centre, just to do face to face. I can't guarantee that I'll get on the mats, but I will come along, definitely.
I'll get you on the mat.
And I wish you all the best with it as well. And I hope that it grows. And I know that one thing we do need is more instructors like yourself who are genuine and who love the art. Definitely. All right.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
You take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Thank you to the Living Martial Arts podcast. Fans who are listening, hope you enjoyed that podcast with Mr. Patrick Reeves of BJJ. We'll be back with you very, very soon. Thank you.
Welcome to Living Martial Arts with Master Ray Gale, a.k.a. the Dark Master. Living Martial Arts discuss and examines the everyday exercise, philosophy, and lifestyle of the martial arts enthusiast. The host talks about his own training, past and present, and he also interviews many martial artists to discover how they continue to live their own martial arts journey. Tune in for top tips on how to get the best out of your martial art. Or perhaps you're thinking of starting a martial art. This podcast offers you an easy way to dip your toe in. Sign up for the newsletter at livingmartialarts.com and get regular updates and training tips direct to your inbox. Follow the Dark Master on Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram at Living Martial Arts.